Okay, so we just finished talking about the enjambment and the purpose of enjambment in the 7 p.m. section. And we concluded that the reason that these thoughts are broken up amongst these lines are because in this very chaotic situation, this very chaotic and confusing moment where Merriam-Webster is being beaten and tortured and hanged, she is very confused. In the midst of chaos, confusion is there. And when you're confused, you're thinking or trying to figure out what is happening, and the facts and thoughts come into your mind piece by piece. So that's why the sentences appear here, piece by piece. Okay, and so we went down to our device to meaning chart where we explained how the device of enjambment in the 7 p.m. section emphasizes or mimics the repeated random starting and stopping of fragmented thoughts, which serves to emphasize the confusion and panic that Merriam-Webster would have experienced at the beginning of this ordeal. So remember, at the beginning, when things are going crazy, when they burst in and start beating and cursing at her and torturing her, she's very confused about what is happening and why it's happening. So that's why we have these fragmented sentence, the random starting and stopping of these thoughts. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at another example of enjambment. And I want to look at another example of enjambment just to give you a little bit of practice with enjambment, but also to understand how things evolve and how the amount of enjambment can change from section to section, and then how that can create meaning as well. Okay, so if we look at the 8 p.m. section here, I want you to notice that in the 8 p.m. section, we still have enjambed sentences in this section, okay? But there's something a little bit different about this section of text. The enjambment is different, okay? And if you'll notice, look at the end of each line in the 8 p.m. section. You will notice that we have punctuation at the end of each line. I'm going to go ahead and circle this punctuation. And the reason that this is important is because punctuation creates structure and indicates complete thoughts, okay? Or more complete thoughts, all right? So if you look at the 8 p.m. section, the rope was an improvisation, okay? This is a complete thought. We have a noun, the rope. We have a verb, was, okay? So that's a complete thought. With time, they'd have thought of axes, okay? So our noun is they. Our verb is have thought, okay? So we have complete thoughts here. And then even here, when Mary goes up into the tree as they hang her, she says, up I go like a windfall in reverse. And then we have this comma here. A blackened apple stuck back onto the tree. Now here, we have complete sentences. Here, this is a complex sentence. All right. And the difference between a complex sentence and a complete sentence is a complex sentence combines a complete thought with an incomplete thought. Okay, so it's a little bit more structured. It's a little bit more complicated, which is why we call it a complex sentence. Okay, here, trust hands, rag in my mouth, a flag raised to salute the moon. This is also a complex sentence. Okay. And And it actually doesn't even end until right here. So this is the complex sentence. All right. But again, you'll see that we have much more punctuation in the 8 p.m. section than in the 7 p.m. section. The punctuation over here is on every single line. Okay. And so the question is why? So why do we have increased punctuation? What is the meaning there? Okay. So notice that the poem is written hour by hour. So the first stanza is written, the first section is written at the 7 p.m. hour. The second section is written at the 8 p.m. hour. Okay, so 1 hour has elapsed. 1 hour has gone by. And as time passes and Mary starts to figure out what is happening to her, when she starts to realize what is happening to her over the passing of the hour, her ideas become more complete. Okay, so she goes from a state of confusion and chaos. She is confused about what is happening to her initially, but as time goes on, she becomes more aware. Okay, so over the hour, Mary becomes more aware of what is happening. As time goes on. Okay. So again, in any moment of chaos, at first it's confusion, but as time passes and you start to realize what's happening, then you're processing what is going on and you start to understand what is happening. Okay. So the increased punctuation, the increased structure represents Mary's understanding of what is happening to her, her realization / understanding. Okay, so reality is setting in. As the hour has passed by, she has a more complete idea of what is happening to her. And so that's why we have the more complete sentences in the 8 p.m. section. Okay, so let's go ahead and get down to our D2M chart, our device to meaning chart. And we have the example that was given to us in the very first one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the 8 p.m. section. All right, we're still talking about enjambment in this section. And I'm going to go ahead and write the portion. I'm going to use the second stanza of the 8 p.m. section. Okay, I'm going to use this stanza here. Okay, up I go like a windfall in reverse, comma, a blackened apple stuck back onto the tree. So up I go like a blackened apple. Oh wait, no. Up I go like a windfall in reverse, comma, and then the line breaks, so we're going to put this slash. A blackened apple stuck back onto the tree. All right. So this is the stanza of the 8 p.m. section that I want to look at. So again, I'm going to use the example that has been provided for me and the model that has been provided for me. Okay, so it starts with the, okay, syntactical choice. What are we going to be talking about as far as sentence construction? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be a little bit more complicated because since we're talking about the 8 p.m. section following the 7 p.m. section, I do need to kind of talk about the 7 p.m. section a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and write the 8 p.m. section is still enjambed, however, it is more structured than the 7 p.m. section. Okay, so that's the syntactical choice that I'm going to be talking about here. We still have enjambment, however, it's a little bit more structured, okay? And now we're going to talk about what it functions to. And when you see the words function to, just think about what's it for. Why, okay? What is the function of a car? What does it do? What is it for? It gets you from point A to point B. What is the function of the increased structure in the enjambed sentences of the 8 p.m. section, okay? So let's go ahead and write functions to. And I'm going to go ahead and still use this word mimic, okay? Mimic the increased understanding that Mary has over the passing of the hour. Okay, because we go from the 7 p.m. section to the 8 p.m. section where she is very confused to starting to understand, starting to realize what's happening. Okay, so as the hour goes on, she has an increased understanding. Okay, functions too. So I'm still using this this example. Okay, so now I'm here, which serves to. Okay, so comma, which serves to, and then I'm going to use, might as well use the same word, emphasize so if she has an increased understanding, she is realizing the realization that Mary gains through the hour. Okay, and this is not a perfect explanation, but it's pretty good. Okay, so the 8 p.m. section is still enjambed. However, it is more structured than the 7 p.m. section. We have the increased punctuation, okay? And that functions to mimic the increased understanding. So when things are very, very structured, you understand what is happening, okay? The increased understanding that Mary has over the passing of the hour, which serves to emphasize the realization that Mary gains through the hour. Let's go ahead and just add on gains through the hour about what is actually happening to her, period. Okay, so again, at the 7 p.m. section, she is very confused. She has no idea what's going on. People just burst into her barn and start beating and cursing at her and torturing her and throwing her up in the tree and hanging her. But as time goes on, she starts to realize what's happening. She starts to process her thoughts. All right, so that is the example of enjambment in the 8 p.m. section. And again, you'll notice that we're talking about the same thing. We have enjambment here and we have enjambment here. However, it evolves, okay? It evolves as the situation evolves, okay? So just understand that we can have different levels of enjambment in each section, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this video here, and then I'm going to turn your attention to another portion. There's going to be a third video. That one is going to be, I'm still going to talk about some things, but I'm going to have you kind of take the reins and try to figure out what is happening in that section, okay? So I'll see you in the next video.